No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets victory 3-2 on home ice tonight against the Buffalo Sabres. All important victory for the Winnipeg Jets as they continue their recent hot streak with yet another victory, improving to 6-2-2 in their last 10. And if I recall correctly, and Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is this now points in 9 of their last 11 games? Am I right about that?
Yeah, the only games they didn't get points in were the Dallas game and the Vegas game.
There you go. The Dallas game and the Vegas game. That's right. So the Winnipeg Jets continue to rack up points, put the points in the standings bank, as the saying goes. Gentlemen, there's been a number of games this year where I would argue, that comes to mind particularly the Calgary game early in the season, first game of the year, where the Jets outplayed their opponent and maybe didn't get the result that they deserved. I thought tonight, particularly after Nikolai Ehlers made it 3-1, and we'll get into that in the Betway game recap, the Buffalo Sabres were the better of the two teams, and they were the better of the two teams for significant chunks of tonight's game. And this is one of those games where Connor Hellebuyck, well, they might not have been all, 5 alarm saves. He certainly was a driving force in the Winnipeg Jets, maintaining the lead, holding on to the lead, and ultimately getting the 2 points, the clean 2 points on home ice tonight. Nice to see both of you gentlemen on this Friday night. We're going to be seeing a lot of each other over the next 24 hours with a show tomorrow morning and then another show tomorrow night. But nonetheless, it's nice to see both of you right now. Ezzy, how are you?
I'm good, Drew. How are you? It's a busy weekend, right? You didn't even mention the Grey Cup there. I mean,
we got lots of shows. We'll get to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously just like everybody else, super pumped up for the Bombers Alouettes game in Hamilton. Got to give a shout out to Remus and Huss doing an awesome job this week in Hammertown, Winnipeg Sports Talk. I think what you're trying to say, Drew, is that was a bit of an ugly win.
Yeah, an ugly win is a good way of
the
putting
Nikolai Ehlers goal, the winning goal, was an ugly goal. I'm pretty sure that was it Owen Power in front of Eric Comrie. It went off. I think it was his glove or his arm. And I think Ehlers was just as surprised as everybody else in Canada Life Center when that puck actually went in. But that is not how you draw it up. I mean, that was not like, the previous games where we've seen the Jets be successful, right? Like the Devils game, there were a few blips in that game, but after they took over in the second period, because if you remember, the game was tied in the second period, the Devils came back, but I mean, the Jets were in control of that game. And then if you want to go back to, some of those road games, against Nashville or Arizona, I mean, the Jets were St. Louis, the Jets were in complete control. So yes, this was, a pretty ugly home victory, but you'll take it, right? And you're right. I mean, I think, this wasn't, Hellebuyck didn't have to make 50 saves or anything like that, but you think of the JJ Peterka breakaway. You think of that, flurry where Kyle Oposo basically had an open net and he missed the net. And the Sabres were all over the Jets in the third period, not just towards the end. And by the way, I'm not sure what Jeff Skinner was doing there with 20 seconds left when the Sabres had all the pressure and he turned around and just kind of, whiffed on a slap shot to nobody. Like, I'm not sure if he thought there was less time left, but the Sabres came very close to forcing overtime. So yes, I agree. I mean, Hellebuyck definitely had to be excellent, and that's obviously what he's paid to do. But certainly at even strength and even on the power play, I think, the Jets had a lot of movement, but obviously they didn't get the results. So I think, in the first game of a back-to-back, you've got Arizona coming up, which obviously the Coyotes are now, 3 points back of the Jets? Because I'm pretty sure the Coyotes were only 1 point behind the Jets entering this game. So that's obviously
2 points now. The Coyotes are 8-6-2. The Jets improved to 9-5-2.
Okay, so they were actually tied before this game. So the game tomorrow obviously has Central Division implications, and Laurent Brossoit is going to get the start unless something.
They're not sure about that. They said it was going to be a we'll see as to who the goalie is going to be tomorrow. Now I would, no travel. I don't know. I mean, was this too big of a workload from your perspective, Dave, for Hellebuyck to go again tomorrow? I'm not sure about that, but at the same time, I don't know that you need to, grind them into the ground at this point in time. Although, granted, there are, they got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
They don't play again until Wednesday.
And you also want Laurent Brossoit to get a game, right? Because I don't think anybody expects him to play against Tampa Bay or Florida, right?
I wouldn't think so. I would expect that. The Jets were hedging on who the goalie is going to be tomorrow, Dave, is what I'm saying.
Hold on one second,
I don't know
boys.
that tonight's workload on Connor Hellebuyck necessarily disqualifies him, but I would probably expect Brossoit tomorrow. But it'll be one of those things we find out about at game time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're.
And yes, I just did kiss my beard, Drew.
I think what your point is, Drew, is that is what Scott Arniel, the associate coach of the Jets, was saying today when he was asked that question in the morning skate media availability, and he essentially said, by Mike McIntyre asked him what was the goalie plan. And
Darwin's confirming it's LB, by the way.
Well, Scott Arniel wasn't prepared to. He said they will want him to get an in, but they also said because it is a rare back-to-back at home, that it makes it a little bit easier. We'll see. But I mean, I would suspect, based on the fact that you don't really need to get Connor Hellebuyck that game. You can get Connor Hellebuyck, you get Brossoit that game, and then Hellebuyck won't be in again, of course, until Wednesday. And then you've got a nice Wednesday. You've got a nice little pace for him. So to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have Hellebuyck. I mean, how many shots did he face in total tonight, Drew?
In total, 27 shots on goal the Sabres had.
I was going to say,
really, the first period, it was not many. First period was only 6 shots. So it was the bulk of those 2 shots were over the final 40 minutes of tonight's game.
Right. So, I mean, look, it wasn't a 50-shot game against the Sharks. I don't know. The Sharks have 50 shots combined in all their games this year, but it's not a 50-shot effort, of course. But I mean,
does
again,
that really impact though, Dave? I'm asking that question rhetorically, right? Like, we don't know, but I wonder, like, how much that if the plan was to play Brossoit regardless, right? Like, I'm not being, contrarian. I'm just saying, like, even if Hellebuyck faced 10 shots, you wonder if they were going to go with Brossoit, right? Because I'm just going with what the coaching staff tells us in terms of, for example, why Logan Stanley was in the lineup, right? Like, they said they wanted Logan Stanley in the lineup because he hadn't played in a while. So it's not because they think Logan Stanley's better than Nate Schmidt, for example, right?
Well, that was what they said. No, that's what they said after the game on Tuesday. They didn't say,
right.
then they elected to keep him in the lineup today. So I mean, I don't know that at this point in time what the logic is necessarily. I understood it on Tuesday that they said they needed to get Logan Stanley a game. Okay, that's fine for Tuesday. Now, he played fine on Tuesday, so I don't have a problem necessarily with him staying in the lineup. And it's not like Nate Schmidt has done anything from my perspective to cement his spot in the lineup. So, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with that position, whomever it's going to be. Being
the only problem is he was bad tonight. That's the issue.
Well, that's so would it surprise you if Nate Schmidt
he had the worst impact, right? So,
and it wouldn't surprise me if Nate Schmidt got back into the lineup tomorrow. So I mean,
yes, I agree. Yeah,
so when it comes to that Nate Schmidt, sixth defenseman, because that's really what we're talking about here. I don't mind. You got to play to stay in the lineup. You got to play to you got to win your spot in the lineup on a night in, night out basis, for that position, because neither of those two guys are running away with that spot. And both of them, quite frankly, might be placeholders until Ville Heinola's back in the lineup. And we know he's back in Winnipeg. And Dave, you saw him, earlier this week at Hockey for All Center. So he's not yet skating, and he's still probably a good, 6 weeks away, but it's not like anybody is taking that job with a stranglehold by any stretch.
Well, I wouldn't say he's not 6. I mean, to be clear, he may be 6 weeks away from wearing a Jets jersey. He may not be. He's in the 5 to 6 weeks. Let's say 5.5 weeks. Rick Bowness on October 5th, I believe, said it's 8 weeks. But he basically said it'll be 8 weeks, and that's when you can start asking about Ville Heinola again. Not that he'll be back in 8 weeks. So, Rick Bowness was very clear about that when he let us know that early in October. So I would suspect, like I said, we spoke to Brad Lauer about it. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I believe it was yesterday. And he talked about, he didn't have any sort of update on a timeline, just that Ville Heinola was back. The team was happy to have him back in the city, back with the group. Mm-hmm. And he was walking around. He had a tensor bandage on his ankle. But again, so he's not skating yet. And again, as we've discussed, he'll likely start a conditioning assignment with the Moose. It doesn't have to be on a conditioning assignment, of course, because he's waiver exempt. So He can just go down to the Moose and he'll get a chance to skate and get back into game shape, like Declan Chisholm has talked about that you need to do before you can get back into the NHL and start playing again.
Yeah, so I mean, these are all the sort of the unknowns and the question marks related to the Winnipeg Jets. We know that obviously Gabe Vilardi is the next Jets player who's going to return to the lineup that's currently injured. We know Rasmus Kupari is going to be out. I believe they said 5 to 7 weeks with the shoulder injury, so we're not going to see him until likely. You're looking probably close to the new year in a best case scenario. Probably the 2024 would be a best case scenario there, right around that time frame, and that's probably similar for Ville Heinola. So we know that Gabe Vilardi is the next Jets player who's likely to get closer to returning to action, with the talk that he might even be on the road trip and could potentially skate with the club ahead of the game on Wednesday in Tampa Bay before the Jets head out on this road trip over U.S. Thanksgiving. So we know the injury situation, but the on-ice situation for the Winnipeg Jets tonight was not sort of what we've come to expect from the team so far this year. They get the win, and that's always the important thing. They get the 2 points, but it's certainly not it wasn't as pretty as some of the other efforts as of late. And, really from the, Nikolai Ehlers scored to make it 3-1 at the 8:12 mark of the second period. And we'll get into the goal because it was a weird one, as we all remember. But really for that, from that point on, for the next 20 minutes at least of game time, for the remainder of the second period, and I'd say certainly the first half of the third period, Buffalo really took it to the Jets. And you can see the talent that Buffalo has. And this isn't a full strength Buffalo Sabres team with Tage Thompson, who's going to be out of the lineup for the next while as well after suffering that injury on Tuesday.
Yeah, he's week to week.
Yeah, you can see the injury. You can see the talent that Buffalo has, and the Jets really were holding on for dear life there for a long while. And so they know, that it's a win, and you're happy about that. But it's also not a Picasso. I think somebody said in the chat, it certainly wasn't a Picasso for the Winnipeg Jets tonight.
No, the Sabres are a really good skating team, and I think you could see the boost that they got from not just Eric Comrie coming back, but obviously Alex Tuck and Zach Benson, right? And I believe Matthew Savoy is still up with the team, and he was a healthy scratch, unless somebody corrects me, right? And then one of the players,
I think Savoy got reassigned to Wenatchee.
Okay,
yeah.
And so another guy nobody's talking about is Jack Quinn. Where was Jack Quinn selected? He was selected 2 spots before Cole Perfetti. If you remember back in 2020, right around the like leading up to where the Jets were selecting, a lot of people thought, Buffalo might take Cole Perfetti and then Jack Quinn could be an option for the Jets, right? So you're talking about some pretty good players that are still not established NHL players, right? Like Quinn's rookie year was last year. But when you're talking about Quinn, Savoy, Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin, I told Dave as we were watching the third period here, like,
he's incredible. I
don't care what anybody says. Rasmus Dahlin isn't going to be in contention for a Norris Trophy. He will win a Norris Trophy. Mike Ginsberg guarantees mean nothing. But Rasmus Dahlin, to me, like, he has that like Nicholas Lidstrom, just high elite skill level to him. Like there was one play I was telling Dave,
he took over that game in the he took over that game in the latter half, I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's mainly just with his skating and his patience. And he's got great hands too. Like he can really do everything, right? Like Rasmus Dahlin and Cale Makar, like to me, those guys are just going to be going back and forth. And obviously, there's other good defensemen too, like Miro Heiskanen. You guys know I really like him. I'm not the only one.
Wait for Rasmus.
Well, exactly. I mean, yeah, and even Ryan Johnson, who Dave M knows because he's a big University of Minnesota fan. Ryan Johnson was a first-round pick, I think, in the Ville Heinola year, the 2019. Like he's good. The Sabres, I think, are. I mean, the goaltending, like you can't sugarcoat it. Like we love Eric Comrie, good friend of the show. We've had him on many times. Like the first goal by Cole Perfetti, we'll get into it, but I mean that's a long shot. It's a nice shot, not taking anything away from Cole Perfetti, but that you could argue was a little soft. And then obviously, you could debate whether that was Comrie's fault or if it was more Owen Power's fault on the Ehlers goal. But to me, like, this was the Jets having the major edge in goal. Like Hellebuyck badly outplayed. Like what did the Jets scored 3 goals on the first 9 shots or something like that, right? Like the Jets were getting badly outshot in the third period, and the possession was all Jets. So Hellebuyck deserves a ton of credit for this win. It was really him that won this game.
The Jets shooting percentage in the second period, and folks, bear with me here, this is unsustainable. The Jets shooting percentage in the second period was 60%.
Whoa.
They had 5 shots on goal and they scored 3 goals.
And,
so
that
was like Drew's success, his how successful he used to be at the bar back in the day. He was about 60%, whereas I was about 11%.
And Drew, just so you know, it was actually 75% for a vast majority of the period, but they added a shot afterwards. So it was actually 3 goals on 4 shots, and then somehow the officials found a 5th shot. So
Larry TSG is right. The Jets
had 18 shots in the course of the game.
Good.
Yes, that's true. But in the second period, they had 5 shots, and I mean, this is the lowest output the Jets have had in terms of shots on goal so far this season.
Harry's getting into it now.
Our buddies,
shots.
Ezra, stop interrupting for a second in your life. Scott Billick said himself that, or this is our buddy Scott Billick tweeted, this is the Jets' lowest shot total tonight, 18. Their previous low on the season was 27. So it's, it really was not the prettiest of efforts from the Winnipeg Jets, but nonetheless, it is still a clean 2 points at home. 2 points you want to have, 2 points you get, and now you want to finish strong on the homestand, getting 2 more points against the Arizona Coyotes tomorrow night.
Who, by the way, are all in town.
They've been
the entire Coyotes team was apparently in the press box. So there you go.
So you definitely want to wrap up the homestand on a good note, and that'll be for a topic of conversation tomorrow on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m. back here on our YouTube channel. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap. Let's get into the game recap. It's brought to you by Betway.
The Betway game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Betway for their continued support and continued sponsorship of the Illegal Curve post-game show and Illegal Curve Hockey. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Big thanks to our friends at Betway. And I'm sensing a pattern because for a second straight game, you didn't really need to watch much of the first period. There were some chances and a couple of opportunities, but it was a very much sort of a bit of a duller first period more than anything that I would describe as riveting. There were the opportunities, so don't get me wrong. There were scoring opportunities, and both goalies had to come up with some saves, but it was nothing that was I would describe as earth-shattering in terms of its entertainment value in the first 20 minutes of tonight's contest, Dave.
No, it definitely wasn't. It was a snooze fest, and I kept looking at Judy Owen, who sits to our left in the press box, who of course writes for the CP, and I said, Judy, and unfortunately for Judy, she took some of that sleepy tea. I think you may have shared it with both these teams because this has been a sleepy period. It's been a dopey period.
Chamomile?
It was. I don't know exactly what kind of tea it was, Drew, but whatever it was, Judy was starting to fall asleep.
I think it was actually Darjeeling.
You don't even know what that means.
No idea. My preferred tea is actually decaffeinated green tea.
I don't strike you as a big tea guy.
As is a matcha guy.
I'm not. I used to be. I used to drink decaffeinated because I didn't want to stay up at night. But yeah, I like green tea. I put a little sugar and maybe a little honey. It's nice.
Just to be clear, sorry, Doug. I never said Arizona's whole team was there.
Drew, this is 41.
I just said Arizona's team is in the city, and some of the management was in the and scouts were in the building. So, just to be clear, the Arizona Coyotes weren't in the press box watching.
What about Mike Eastwood, Dave? Did you mention that?
No.
Okay, go on with our.
Dave sat beside. Well, why don't you mention it?
Well, you just did. We had an official guest in the
Winnipeg Jet Mike Eastwood was sitting where I normally occupy that seat.
That's right. He was sitting beside Ezra. So we
Number
had
32, I believe, right?
Sounds right. So he had taken Ezzy's spot. He asked me if that was okay. I said, for you, Ezra would have no problems with it. But yeah, I mean, Drew, it was. And
then he asked the security guard how Dave got in there.
Wait, the security guard's Perry. Perry loves me. Anywho, so the point is, as the show goes off the rails, it was just sleepy. It was boring. To be honest with you, I was watching the Moose game, which finally, I'm not going to get into a Moose Minute just yet, but it was finally time for a little more excitement in that one than what we were watching within the confines of Canada life. But yeah, I mean, it was slow. It seemed like two teams that were kind of feeling each other out, and two teams that haven't played a lot of hockey. And that was the other thing.
The Kyle Connor breakaway, we got to mention that. He probably would have scored if the puck didn't hop over his stick.
Well, if he knew where, he didn't see where his rebound had gone, because had he seen his rebound, he probably would have been able to bury it, because Comrie made a nice save, but Connor, if he sees it, probably puts that home. But I'm just saying that.
Sorry, Morgan Barron. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Someone told me I was interrupting more than ever, but Morgan Barron had that shorthanded chance too, Dave.
For the record, C-Mac, I didn't actually drop a name. Ezzy dropped the name. I did not drop the name. But yeah, Morgan Barron did have he did have that nice shorthanded chance, Ezzy. That's right. But I'm just saying it seemed like a team, both teams, because again, both teams had a bit of an unusual schedule and not a ton of games. Buffalo, I think, played one more than Winnipeg in the last little bit, because I think they had back-to-back on the weekend. But it's just, it seemed like two teams that hadn't played since Tuesday. So, a little sloppy, a little quiet. And I kind of said to Judy, because at one point the Jets only had, what was it, Drew? I think the first shot of the game, and then they got the second shot was that Morgan Barron shorthanded one. And then they got a third one on the power play. So the Jets didn't have a lot of shots. And then they ended up obviously 7-6 because they got a late power play. So they ended up out shooting them 7-6, but it was a slow period for the Jets for sure. And a slow period, I thought, for both teams, really, when you looked at it.
Yeah, no question about it. Not a lot of excitement in that first period. So we'll skip ahead to the second period, as that seems to be when things really start to get underway. And
Jets are a second period team, Drew.
Yeah, there certainly have been a
third
very
game in a row, boys. There were no goals in the first period. Jets versus Stars. There were no goals in the first period. Jets versus Devils. And then there's been 4 or 5 goals in all 3 of these games, right?
No question. And the Jets opened the scoring at the 2:12 mark of the second period. Cole Perfetti on fire. He's just absolutely lighting it up as of late. And he continues just, to affirm himself and, further establish himself as a bona fide NHL top 6 winger, as the case may be. Vlad Mesnikov and Neil Pionk with the assists here. As you love the pass from Pionk, the stretch pass from Pionk to Nemesnikov, but more so than the stretch pass, I want to go back to the sequence right before that, is that Pionk sort of forces a turnover in the Jets zone, which then allows him to make the stretch pass. So that's a nice sequence of events for Neil Pionk, and it's a great pass to Nemesnikov, and he leaves it for Cole Perfetti. And as you mentioned that, I don't know that you necessarily love the goal, but it's a good shot. It's from just above the hash marks, right between the circles. So a good shooting position, and from a guy who knows how to fire the puck, and Perfetti makes a 1-0 for the Jets.
I like how you brought up Pionk there, because obviously, I mean, that's not going to get on the highlight reel, but you're right. And I just thought, I forget which Sabres line was out there, boys. Good day from Manitoba to our friend in Australia. Nice to see somebody from down under watching the show. It's always a country that I'm not sure if Drew or Dave have ever been there, but I'm sure all 3 of us would love to visit that part of the world. So hi to Jordan. Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like the Sabre forwards that were out there, Drew, were all caught right around the goal line. And I thought it was just smart of Pionk to fire that stretch pass up to center, where Nemesnikov obviously, gets it to Cole Perfetti. But I just thought that it wasn't even that, Comrie was too deep in the net. I just thought that's from 20 to 25 feet away. Like you said, it's, just past the top of the faceoff circle around the hash marks. And, it's just, to me, again, I'm never going to pick on Eric Comrie. He's one of my favorite personalities in the league. I just thought, that was, kind of in that kind of weaker category of goal. Again, not taking anything away from Cole. I just thought maybe, Comrie's angle or positioning could have just been a little bit better there. But again, that's a goal scorer's goal. I mean, who am I to argue with, Cole Perfetti's goal scoring streak right now? It seems like, it doesn't seem like he's getting a goal every night. It seems.
At least for the last 5 nights he has, last 5 game nights, and he makes it 1-0 for the Jets. Do we talk about Eric Comrie's mustache now, or do we save that for after the commercial break?
Oh wow, it's a beauty.
I was up close and personal with it, boys. I saw it in its glory. Nice. Yeah. He had some nice words for the Jets. Happy, of course. You can see he's still got a lot of deep connections to this city and the players that are on this hockey team. Obviously, he had dinner with Mark Scheifele, Dylan DeMello, and Josh Morrissey last night. I don't say that obviously, but if you watch our YouTube channel, then you know that because he spoke about it.
Yeah,
I wasn't
there.
Dave.
Dave was also. I was going
to say I wasn't giving. I'm not giving a firsthand account. He was there. Josh Morrissey, Mark Scheifele, Dylan DeMello, and Dave Minuk. Those were the 4 plus Eric Comrie. So
where did the boys go? Do you think, Dave? I feel like Pizzeria Gusto is probably a good guess.
That's a very good guess. I think that's a good guess, Ezzy. But the point is that he talked about Connor Hellebuyck and Mark Scheifele and the fact that he expected Connor Hellebuyck to sign and how much Hellebuyck loved this city. So again, if you didn't get a chance to hear it, Eric Comrie is always a good interview. So check that out. It's on, like I said, on our YouTube channel, and so you can listen to that. Or it was in the pregame report on illegalcurve.com.
And more importantly for Eric, he's going to be a dad. His wife is expected to give birth tomorrow.
I was going to mention that, Drew. Yeah, he told us after that this part you didn't hear because he told us after we were just kind of chatting with him, waiting for Zach Benson, the Winnipeg Ice superstar, former Winnipeg Ice superstar for both him and the team. But we were waiting for him to come off the ice. So of course, Eric Comrie and Zach Benson both came off IR today, and so Buffalo, they haven't obviously been playing for a little bit, but. So while we were waiting for Zach Benson, Eric told us that his wife is due tomorrow, and he's hoping that she wasn't going to have the kid. So I thought it was a little curious. I know they'd want him to play today, but knowing that he's got that on his mind and knowing that he is, like I said, that he's just coming back from injury, would have thought maybe they kept him, in abeyance for 1 or 2 more days, let him be with his wife. But anyways, regardless, congratulations to the Comrie family on their upcoming birth, because that's exciting news for him.
It is exciting news. And 1-0 for the Jets at that point in time after the Perfetti goal. Mason Appleton, 2 minutes and 21 seconds later, makes it 2-0. It's his 5th of the season, assist to Nino Niederreiter and Adam Lowry. And, it's not fancy from this line, and it rarely is, but it's often effective, and it just involves going hard to the net. And that's what this line does very well. Straight lines, big, heavy, hard to play against. And Mason Appleton, who's having, in my mind, the best season so far in his career, he goes hard to that net, and Nino Niederreiter with an absolutely perfect pass. And Appleton, who's really right in the blue paint, redirects it past Eric Comrie. No chance for the mustachioed Sabres goaltender, but it's 2-0 for the Jets at this point, Ezzy.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any doubt that Mason Appleton is having the best year of his career. And, I forget who we had on the show, and I remember you asked someone about Mason Appleton, and he was kind of like a forgotten guy, right? Like people thought, we'll see how long he stays up on that third line, because obviously Morgan Barron was on that third line as well last year, but
yeah, I said it during the training camp. I said it during training camp and when we were broadcasting at FanFest.
I was thinking it could have been FanFest with Paulie Edmonds or Marat. We also had on, and he is not a passenger on that line. He's not a passenger on this team. Like, you got to give him credit. Like, he goes hard to the net, and that's the thing, right? Earlier in the season, right, Dave Appleton's up on the top line. It's not working out for him.
Yeah. But
that just shows you that that's where he fits. Like, he fits in a bottom 6 role. He can kill penalties. He's an effective forechecker. Mm-hmm. And you just like how he goes to the net there. I forget which it might have been Samuelson, the defenseman. He just gets behind the Buffalo Sabres defenseman. And like Drew said, I mean, that line has been excellent all year long. At even strength, and it's a beautiful pass by Niederreiter and a great finish by Appleton. So it's great to see, because Dave M has talked about this. He's been, following him from the Moose up into the NHL. He's a late round draft pick. And, Drew mentioned that, it looks like Logan Stanley and Nate Schmidt are basically going to kind of rotate, and whoever plays better is going to assume that kind of number 6 D role. Same thing for Appleton, right? Like he continually has to prove that he, fits on that third line. Maybe not so much anymore, but the first 3 or 4 games of the year, I would say, and then he went up to the top line. But yeah, just a great effort by that line. I mean, the more simple, like that's what they do. Put the puck on the net, crash the net, get a rebound, cycle the puck down low, blah, 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 right? Like that's what they do best. So that line continues to be red hot.
Yeah.
Well, right. And Drew, I just wanted to add, like, it's funny, like Jamie Thomas, I was going to say of Jets TV, but they don't call it Jets TV, but whatever Jamie's with respect to the Jets, he had Mason Appleton on their Jets ground control podcast. And he just, he talked about Mason Appleton coming back from Seattle and wanting to be back in Winnipeg. And, this being the only place he really knows and is very comfortable. And so you can see that he is a lot more comfortable this season. And look, he matched his goal total from last year in 16 games. I mean, he's got 5 goals in 16 games. He had 5 and 51 last season. So he's definitely, like I said, on pace. I think we just had it in the chat for, a 30 goal season. We're not going to expect that. But if you can get Mason Appleton into that, 20 to 23 range, that's a pretty exceptional number from your third line. So you need that line to be clicking. And Nino Niederreiter, boys, we've talked about, he just does everything right. Like he really does. Like it, his pass is phenomenal. It's a great pass. And as he's right, you need someone like Appleton who's willing to go to the front of the net, who's willing to be in that hard area and take a hit if he has to try and get a goal. So good on him for making that sort of effort. But great pass by Nino Niederreiter. But I thought in a number of elements of this game, Nino Niederreiter, defensively and offensively, was really good. And we've said that, I mean, so many times. But, the pass is something we highlight, but there were a number of other plays throughout the course of this hockey game that I thought Nino Niederreiter deserved praise for.
Yeah, look, he's a professional hockey player, and I know I've said that line more than once, and you just see it night in, night out, even when he's not necessarily contributing on the score sheet, and he did contribute on the score sheet tonight, but even when he's not contributing on the score sheet, there's rarely a game that occurs where you don't notice him doing at least something to help his team. Not always leading them to victory necessarily, but he does something that will help his team more often than not. 23 seconds after the Jets made it 2-0, the good times abruptly come to an end. Alex Tuch gets his 5th of the year. He's just back from IR, or he'd been out of the lineup at the very least. And this is an unassisted goal, and it's a bit of
missed like 3 games, Drew.
Yeah, a bit of a Keystone Cops situation for the Winnipeg Jets on this one. Neil Pionk fails to clear. Brendan Dillon sort of fails to clear. Connor Hellebuyck goes and sort of poke checks the puck right onto the stick of Alex Tuch, and his effort, I think, to poke it away from, if I'm not mistaken, Dylan Cousins. He puts it right onto Tuch. It's just a lot of ugliness for the Winnipeg Jets in their own zone in a high danger area on this one, and Alex Tuch eventually makes the Winnipeg Jets pay while the Appleton goal announcement is still occurring. The Sabres are able to cut it from 2-0 to 2-1 at the 4:56 mark of the second period. So no goals in the first 20 minutes, 3 goals in 2 minutes and 34 seconds to start early in the second period on this one, Ezzy.
Yeah, as Dennis would say, bang, bang, but the third one was a bad bang. The first 2 were good bangs, but the third one was not a good bang. And you mentioned Neil Pionk.
Stop saying the word bang, please.
Sure, I will. Neil Pionk, as you mentioned, he loses a battle with Jeff Skinner.
Yeah,
because it's like this comes like 5 or 6 seconds after the faceoff, and so Jeff Skinner steals the puck from Pionk, puts it on net, and then, like you said, Hellebuyck tries to clear it, and then obviously he poke checks it right to Alex Tuch. And Alex Tuch seems to be kind of I don't know if you want to call him a Jets killer in the same vein as like I don't know, David Perron has been quite the Jets killer over the years. There's been a few. Jonathan Marchessault's another one. But yeah, that's just a couple of bad mistakes, right? Skinner getting, Neil Pionk getting beat by Skinner, putting on net, and then I understand, Dave, what Hellebuyck was trying to do there, but I don't know if that was necessarily the right way to execute it, because he just pokes it right to Alex Tuch, and then obviously that's deflating because the Jets were up by 2 goals, everybody's feeling good. Then all of a sudden, it's a 1-goal game again.
Yeah, in this instance, I mean, I understand what Hellebuyck's trying to do. He's trying to get it away from the oncoming Sabres player. Like I mentioned, I think it was Dylan Cousins, if I'm not mistaken, and he puts it right onto Tuck's stick. So, the Jets just had poor defensive zone coverage here. You got to start tying up sticks. The Jets are puck watching, and they're not watching it that well. They're watching.
Maybe they were listening to Jay Richardson announce the goal. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, if that's what they were doing, then they should probably try and compartmentalize their activities a little bit better and focus on their on-ice activities more so than how they handled it in that situation. Because not the prettiest one for the Winnipeg Jets, Dave, and the Sabres are able to cut it in half, 2-1 at that point early on in that second period.
Well, and it's a momentum killer because, as you said, Drew, I mean, you've got a 2-goal lead. The crowd is into it. They're happy. They're pumped up right now. And again, because the Appleton goal was a nice goal, it gets the crowd going, right? And so everybody's excited, and then suddenly it just gets deflated. And you guys have already gone through the goal, so I don't need to add anything really to it. But it's just to quote a Drewism, boys, it was a lack of attention to detail right after a goal is a pretty bad mistake by the Winnipeg Jets because, and again, it's probably one of those things where you're like, well, you can't just blame it on one guy because every single guy almost had a piece of that error, which led to the puck finding the back of the net. But yeah, definitely a momentum killer because, I mean, as I said, the Jets are feeling good, even though they haven't taken a plethora of shots. But the fact is they're finding the back of the net. So they were feeling good up 2-0, and now suddenly it's 2-1.
And honestly, I don't know, like just going back to, what happened there, I just watched the replay again and Skinner spins around and puts it on net. It actually doesn't get through the net, right? And that's why it's sitting in front of Hellebuyck, Dave. Yeah. So that's why he pokes it. But like, I don't know, like who am I to say what Hellebuyck should have been doing in that situation? Yeah, Maybe you just
you're an analyst. You're an analyst on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Kevin Woodley's coming on tomorrow, so he would be the one to break that down. And but clearly, whatever reasoning Hellebuyck had for poking that, it was the wrong choice. And it went right to Alex Tuck. So
I don't know that it was necessary. I mean, it worked. The result was wrong, but in that instance, I'm not sure that that's necessarily the wrong choice. What was wrong about it is the Jets' poor, effort in tying up sticks. That's what I think. It's a good question, as you bring up. I'm not sure what Hellebuyck's supposed to do there. It's a bit of a rock or hard place that he's in. If he tries to cover it up, does Dylan Cousins come in and get it before that Hellebuyck's able to smother it? Obviously in Hellebuyck's mind, he felt as though he that wasn't the option that was best available for him. But I think it's just a lesson in the Jets' poor D zone coverage.
Yeah, it was just a little bit sloppy. They were just a little bit slow. The puck was bouncing around, and you're right. I mean, we're definitely not going to say that, oh, that was a bad goal, it was Hellebuyck's fault, because like we said, Jeff Skinner beats Neil Pionk, right? And he's the one that puts it towards the net. And then, Hellebuyck is basically forced to poke check it, because if he doesn't, I mean, a Sabre could have easily put that puck in, picked it up and put it in, which obviously they got a goal anyways. But yeah, it was just, not very tight defensive coverage. But luckily, I mean, the Jets ended up winning the game, and that goal was inconsequential. But at the time, it definitely, deflated their 2-goal lead.
Well, there's that word luck, and it's a good debate. Do you have to be good to be lucky, or do you have to be lucky to be good? And we can debate that, because this next one is,
I think you have to be good to be lucky.
Thank you. Well, you can discuss it. This is our next one, is our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Big thanks to our friends of Seagram's, purveyor of fine drinks like Fireball, which I have a little mini bottle of right here next to my trusty TV stand as I broadcast this Illegal Curve post-game show.
It's almost like Drew used to work for Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries, Dave.
What does that have to do with anything? It's not where but you have the beer, you have the booze. Yeah, you too can go to a liquor store or a beer store and acquire the same things that I have readily available. I know that this is hard to believe, but money can be exchanged for goods and services. I know. But
I don't have any money though, Drew. That's the problem.
Maybe ask Naomi for some. Maybe she can lend you some, and you two can get a miniature bottle of Fireball.
Get $20 a week. That's about it.
Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. This is probably it's pretty close to the weirdest goal of the season for the Winnipeg Jets. I'm not sure if I can necessarily think of a weirder one at this moment. A tremendous screen provided by Owen Power. Which would be great, except for the fact that he, of course, plays for the Buffalo Sabres and ended up screening his own goaltender, Nikolai Ehlers. You couldn't see it on the broadcast because the camera wasn't on the play at this moment, but he turns and fires just the most routine, innocent-looking shot, and it's, somehow, it's almost like it goes right over Power's shoulder and then dips just enough that it gets over Eric Comrie's shoulder. And Comrie obviously can't see it because Power is standing in front of him, and nobody expects this to be any sort of opportunity in a really, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't have been. But nonetheless, Dave, it is a 3-1 lead for the Winnipeg Jets. Ehlers, his 5th assist to Niederreiter and the Nemesnikov. And they don't ask how, they only ask how many. And for the Winnipeg Jets, this was their 3rd goal of the game.
Yeah, and I like what Joe from Winnipeg said. Comrie was powerless in saving that shot. I mean, it's such a weird play because everybody is loaded on that side. The puck skips over Sniper. I mean, Brendan Dillon's stick as he was trying to get it on net just so the Jets could get a change in. And of course, it skips over to Nikolai Ehlers, who, as you just said, Drew, is firing it in, just trying to, again, keep that puck in deep. And I think he was as amazed as everybody else, because I'm like, what the hell did we just witness? But sometimes they say, just shoot that puck on the net, and that's what's, good things can happen. And look, it's unfortunate for Eric Comrie, ends up being the game-winning goal for Nikolai Ehlers. And again, it got that building going again, because suddenly now the lead is back up to 2, and it's 2 goals. I mean, 3 goals for the Jets in about 6 minutes, Drew. So, I mean, you're again,
exactly,
the crowd
6 minutes, 3 goals in 6 minutes.
Yeah. And it's 3 goals on 4 shots. So, I mean, I jokingly referenced in the headlines for the Jets ride an efficient second period in order to get that win over the Sabres. But I mean, it's just one of those things that it's good for Nikolai Ehlers, for him to get that good feeling. I thought he was skating pretty well today. And of course, Nino Niederreiter and Vlad Nemesnikov being on with him as well. I mean, those guys, I thought both had very good games. And Ezzy and I were talking about Vlad Nemesnikov, watching the 3rd period, and he just does a lot of good things in a game. And it's funny because, I was talking in the after morning skate, in terms of what the Jets are going to have to do when Gabe Vilardi is back. And now that's still not going to be for a while, because, again, he's in the yellow non-contact. He's not even skating with the team right now. He won't be skating with them till the road trip. But, it's a tough thing to decide, right? Do you remove Alex Iafallo? If you do, where do you put him? So the Jets are going to have some, and that's that depth we talk about. But I just think, like, Vlad Nemesnikov continues to show that, he's a smart player. He's a complimentary player, and maybe he's playing a little higher than you would expect. But right now it seems to be working for the Jets because they're getting a lot of goals.
Yes, everything they touch has turned to gold as of late, and that includes getting a number of goals. But really, at this point in time, Ezzy, it's sort of interesting. The Jets take this 3-1 lead, and I don't know if they let their foot off the gas or they maybe relaxed a little bit in the old cliche.
They have their foot on the gas, Drew, at
that's
4
also
shots?
A fair point. Their shooting percentage went way down at that point in time. They went from a 75% shooting percentage to a 0% shooting percentage for the remainder of the game. Very, very weak. But whatever it was, it seemed like the Winnipeg Jets at this point in time, this is where Buffalo begins to take over the majority of the game from this point on. And really the Jets, hold on for the remainder of the second period. And that's how the second period ends, with the Jets taking a 3-1 lead into the dressing room. But Buffalo wastes no time coming back in the third period and starting off strong. JJ Paterka, who's my favorite JJ since JJ Daigneault, getting his 7th of the season.
Jean-Jacques.
Yes, Jean-Jacques, exactly. Assist to Rasmus Dahlin and Zach Benson. This comes at the 1 minute mark of the third period. It's the stretch pass, and they highlighted this on the broadcast repeatedly, the number of times in which the stretch pass was used by both teams in this game. We saw, of course, that Neil Pionk used it on the Jets' opening goal to set up Nemesnikov to Perfetti. But this one, it's a great pass, and Rasmus Dahlin was just an absolute beast, really, for the remainder of this game after Ehlers scored that goal. And he hits Peterka, and it's both Scheifele and Brendan Dillon who are the defenders back there. Obviously, not where you were used to seeing Mark Scheifele. Neil Pionk was up pinching, and Scheifele was back covering, but the pass went through both him and Dillon onto Peterka's stick, and he gets the first shot away. Hellebuyck makes the save, and then he gets the rebound and tucks it through Connor Hellebuyck to make it 3-2 1 minute into the third period.
Right. And you remember in the second period, Peterka had that breakaway, right? And, that's somebody that good friend of the show, Marty Biron, has been talking about for 3 years, right? Because Dave knows Peterka before he graduated to the NHL. He was really good for Rochester. He's been considered a top prospect for the Sabres for a while. And we've talked about this Sabres team, again, anybody who doesn't watch the show knows I'm a Devils fan, so I have no skin in the game. I'm not a Sabres fan. But this Sabres team, I think, is a couple years away from being a very dangerous team. When you throw in Quinn and you throw in Savoy and, you give Owen Power another couple years and they figure out the goaltending situation, because obviously Devin Levi is the goaltender of the future. Good Jewish boy. Got to get that in there for Montreal. But on this goal, yeah,
we need all the help we can get at this point in time.
Absolutely. Peterka, look, he slips behind, as Drew mentioned, Brendan Dillon and Mark Scheifele, and it's a beautifully executed stretch pass, like Drew said, by Rasmus Dahlin. So, you're not going to fault Hellebuyck on this one either. Peterka's, what is he, up to 12 points now, Dave, I think, on the season? So he's a good player. And obviously, this was, a sign of things to come, because as Drew mentioned, Buffalo had all the possession and all the chances in the third period. The Jets were hanging on, but I also think, I'm someone who truly believes you have to, play some context on this game as well, because I think the Sabres allowed 9 goals in their previous 2 games. So this is the Sabres' third loss in a row, I believe. So, the Sabres were desperate, right? This was a pushback. We always talk about, the Jets, if they're down and what type of response they have. Well, the Sabres pushed back hard, and they almost tied this game up. We talked about it. They were all over the Jets in the third period. So, give Dahlin a lot of credit for that stretch pass. And Peterka, he's a good young player who's only going to get better.
Second round pick.
I wonder if Scott Arniel was listening to our conversation, because in his post-game media availability, available on our YouTube channel or available in our game recap, not to be listened to right now, but you can listen to it after. But I happen to listen to it. And what he said was, he called Dahlin a special player. And he talked about the stretch passes. He talked about, the Sabres really taking it to the Jets. And he talked about how Buffalo controlled the play and that he didn't like their game. So he said, look, take the 2 points, and kind of said it with a smirk, take the 2 points and move on. But that there's a lot of things that this team needs to clean up, because, and I know we're not done the recap, Drew, because obviously we got to deal with that final flurry. But it was, he said, look, we didn't get a shot in 11 minutes in that second period. There was a lot of things not to like, but one of the things, if you're a Jets fan, that you probably do like is Connor Hellebuyck. Yeah. And you probably like the way Connor Hellebuyck played, Hellebuckian, especially in that final 5 minutes of the third period, right? Especially when, the Sabres have a late penalty, and it's the Jets have a power play, and yet it's the Sabres who are pushing, obviously pull Eric Comrie, and then 5-on-5, 6-on-5. And a lot of times we've seen Connor Hellebuyck and the Jets give up that goal, but not tonight. And he looked really good to close it out. Made that, as he said, that save with his foot, which was unbelievable. Yeah, and then escaped exactly, and a number of other stops that he made tonight. So
certainly helped. Zach Benson taking that high sticking penalty with 2 minutes and 16 seconds to go was not an intelligent penalty to take at that point in time. You just have to have more control of yourself and know the situation. And I'm a little surprised the referees didn't even that up. I was a little surprised they only took one, and they only took Benson, and they didn't take a Jet in there for responding to Benson. But you still can't put yourself into that position, right there, and take that penalty.
What is it? His 7th game in the NHL. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
I don't think he's played 7, maybe 7. I think this was his 7th game. Pretty cool. Just to quickly, as an aside for him, obviously played 2 years here, 3 total with the Ice, but I believe that first year was in the bubble, that WHL bubble. But, he played with his billet family. His parents flew to Winnipeg to watch the game. He has a lot of friends and that came to watch him. So it's got to be pretty cool for the 13th overall pick as he in the 2023 draft to get a chance to play. I mean, we know it's pretty cool because we talked to him this morning, and that again is available on our YouTube channel. But you could hear that he has a special connection to Winnipeg, and disappointed, of course, that the Ice left, but was very happy, had a lot of good memories. And like I said, was really happy. He said he had dinner with his billet family and was excited to play in front of them. Picked up an assist, I think, on the second goal. Yeah. So he got that's his 3rd point in the NHL. So and look, he's a hell of a player. He's not a big guy, but he's a hell of a good player. And he's got an edge to him. And we didn't watch a ton of the Ice games, obviously, but whether he goes back to Wenatchee this year and comes back in, you're going to see that kid in the NHL for a long time. He's really good.
He's the sky's the limit. The future is bright for him. Just taking a regrettable penalty there at the end, which certainly helped the Jets in their quest to hang on, which they did for dear life. They managed to hang on. High danger chances in tonight's game. 17-4 in favor of the Buffalo Sabres.
Well, I don't think you have to say in favor of
that's actually kind of like absurd if you think about it. I mean, if you obviously we're not going to go back and go over the years and check the high danger chances, but like that's about as one-sided as it gets, boys.
I agree with you, Ezzy. I don't think I can ever remember as lopsided a high danger chances.
Does Ehlers' goal get considered a high danger chance?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think that was a high danger chance. It ended up being very dangerous for the Buffalo Sabres, but you're absolutely right. In any event, the Winnipeg Jets do hold on, despite being badly outplayed for large chunks of the game. They hold on for the 3-2 victory on home ice. They improve their record to 9-5-2. They keep they're tied with the Colorado Avalanche, and they have the Arizona Coyotes coming to town tomorrow, the proverbial 4-point game, albeit quite early in the season, but a big opportunity for the Jets to put even a little bit more room between themselves and the Coyotes tomorrow night.
We know the starter, Drew.
I do, but I'm going to tell you after the break. After the break, stay with us. We'll tell you who it's
Brossoit or Hellebuyck.
Thank you, Ezzy.
Good.
Stay with us.
Or maybe it's Thomas Milic.
Well, Dave will do a Manuk Moose Minute and update you on Milic. We'll tell you the starting goaltenders for tomorrow night's game between the Jets and the Coyotes. We got much more to come. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's a Friday night. Don't go anywhere. We're live on our YouTube channel.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job. Presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal. Starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's transfer, moving, and storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rollies and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at rollies.com.
Boston Pizza harnessed Fanalytics to test if the game is better at home or at Boston Pizza. The results are irrefutable. Catch the game at Boston Pizza, powered by Fanalytics.
Are you dreaming of your very own backyard rink this winter, but dreading the work involved? Well, stress no longer, because the Rink Guys are here to make it happen. The Rink Guys are Winnipeg's first outdoor skating rink installation and rink maintenance service. The Rink Guys offer free site evaluations and different rink construction options. Plus, they use a custom-sized liner to prevent any damage to your lawn. Lighting packages are also available to help illuminate your rink during those long, dark winter nights. To get your rink started today, visit therinkguys.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the illegal curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. We're back. It's the Illegal Curve postgame show. Drew Mandel, Ezra Ginsburg, Dave Manouk with you on this Friday night. Reminder, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. That's in less than 12 hours. That's in about what? Carry the one. About 10 hours and 20 minutes from now. It'll be the Illegal Curve hockey show. We'll get you set for tomorrow night's game between the Jets and the Coyotes, another key Central Division matchup. We'll look back a bit at tonight's game, get you set for tomorrow, and including a discussion about the starting goaltenders. And that has been confirmed as Laurent Brossoit for the Winnipeg Jets. Scott Arniel, in his post-game remarks, has made that announcement. And for our friends in Arizona, they will go with Karel Vejmelka for the Coyotes facing off against Laurent Brossoit. So Vejmelka...
Do you think that like the Coyotes would ever consider not starting Vejmelka? Like, obviously, if he was injured, he couldn't play, but like just because of what he did the first time he played the Jets, I think we all remember that. Wasn't that game in Winnipeg?
It was, and nobody knew
shut them out.
And nobody knew who he was. 7 games in 7 career games against the Winnipeg Jets. Karel Vejmelka has a 2.29 goals against average and a .935 save percentage with 1 shutout. But
they lit him up in Tempe, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Jets know they can score on them now. They did beat them, what was that, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at this point in time?
5-3, I think, right?
Yeah, wasn't it on a Saturday afternoon?
It was a Saturday afternoon,
so it'd be like 13 days ago?
Was it just 2 weeks? God, sometimes time flies by and sometimes time...
Yeah, because they were one of the teams the Jets won in November. They beat the Coyotes.
Yeah, well, I guess that's...
Because remember, was that they lost to Vegas and then they went to Arizona and they beat Arizona.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about that too as well, Drew. Like it's hard to believe it's already game 17.
I know, it really is hard to believe that, and I'm not sure when that happened, but here we are nonetheless. We'll bring you post game coverage.
Guys, there's 82 games.
Well, we're almost a quarter of the way through. It seems like we just started, and we're almost a quarter of the way through. By this time next week, we'll basically be a quarter of the way through the season, which is hard to believe. And the Winnipeg
actually,
Jets
Dave, it's 88 plus. In fact,
the Winnipeg Jets find themselves in a very good position. 9-5 in preseason doesn't count. 9-5.
I was going to say we don't do preseason shows though.
Yeah, it doesn't count. 9-5-2 so far this year. The Winnipeg Jets are. So we'll have all that tomorrow. Busy day tomorrow. 9 a.m. The Illegal Curve Hockey Show post game. Right around probably let's say 8:45 or so again, somewhere around there. Dave M is going to drive that bus on the post game
and friends
tomorrow. Dave M and friends. So it's if you want to be friends with Dave M, send him a message. That would be my advice.
I'll be at Dave's cousin's daughter's birthday party.
Oh, a late night birthday party. Who's doing birthday parties that late? That's outrageous.
Yeah. I also have a birthday party on Sunday, which starts like an hour before the Grey Cup and ends when the Grey Cup is going to be going on. So that's a little bit of an issue. But I mean, kids' birthdays, as you know, Drew, take precedent over everything.
Yeah, they do. And
precedent. I said precedent. Meant to say precedents.
Yes. Okay. I knew what you meant, and calendars are hard to look at for some people, and that would be an example of one of those right there. Dave M. The Moose are on a 3-3, and they started it off today in a good note in Belleville. Let's get into it. The Minuk Moose Minute.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
The Moose were not cruising, boys. They were coming off of 4 straight losses during that last homestand. And as Drew just touched on, they have a 3-3, 6 games total starting out east with the game tonight in Belleville. And they were looking to get things off on the right track, much like the first period we saw here in Winnipeg. No scoring between the Moose and the Belleville Senators, who actually have quite a few. They have more points than the Moose. So they're not an upper echelon team in the East, but they do have more wins than the Manitoba Moose. And there was no score after 20 minutes of play, but things got going for the Moose. And by the way, I should mention Thomas Milic got his second straight start, the 2023 fifth rounder. He impressed, even though the Moose didn't overall in that series against Laval. He was impressive. So he gets the start. Tyrell Bauer was sitting. And, of course, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby up with the Jets. Nikita Chibrikov, boys, scored the Jets prospect. He scores his first goal from relatively close for him, the top of the circles. Nice slap shot on the power play. He made it 1-0. That was his third goal of the season. And
sorry, can I say one thing, Dave? Sure. What I've liked about Chibrikov, in addition to the fact that he's obviously got a lot of skill and a great shot, he plays physically. I saw you posted a clip from the game against Laval. Yeah. And, he's not the biggest guy, but he's feisty. Anyways, I just wanted to throw it out there. Count me as a fan of Chibrikov's game, Dave.
Well, it's funny as he plays an aggressive game. And I talked to him about that. Again, listen to it on our YouTube channel. I had Chibrikov and Lambert on Friday. It was the Dave Minuk dream, though. I had the Moose in the morning, and then I got to do the Jets. Didn't have to leave, didn't have to worry about parking. It was fantastic. But
the only thing that would have made that better was a Salty's pie.
Yeah, which I can get this week because Salty's is somehow courtesy of Twitter. Someone had alerted me. Salty's apparently is open this weekend for the Grey Cup. So
Joe just said the same thing in the chat.
I was going to say, I didn't see Joe say that, but no. Joe didn't tell me. But someone else DM'd me saying that Salty's is open this weekend. So don't think Dave M might not be driving up to the old Interlake at some point.
Pick me up a chicken burger, please.
Yes, sir. But anyways, the point is now you've totally derailed me. Now I'm thinking Salty's, Chibrikov. No, but Chibrikov does play a little more of an aggressive style. And he talked about that. He goes, I'm not the biggest guy, but I have to be able to do that. And I remember thinking that watching him at training camp, going up against Brendan Dillon, and he had no fear. Like he's plays with a little bit of bite, and he's got a good shot. He's a good playmaker. Of course, I think he's 3-10 right now in terms of his points, but a nice player, had a nice shot on the power play. So that gave the Moose the 1-0 lead. And then Wyatt Bongiovanni, he is feeling good after dealing with some injury issues in training camp, and he gets his third of the season. Dominic Toninato doesn't get an assist on this play, but great screen in front. Declan Chisholm, he does get a point. That's his first point of the season, of course, on a conditioning assignment. That's his third game with the Moose. And Chaz Lucius, the 2021 first rounder, he gets his first assist of 2 in this game. And of course, it's just his second game back from a concussion. And then minute 13 later, after that goal, it was 3-0 CJ Cease. He scores the first 5-on-5 goal for the Manitoba Moose, and the Moose were cruising. They came out in that third period with a 6-0 shot edge, and it was looking like Thomas Milic was not only on his way to his first AHL win, but he was also looking like he was going to get his first AHL shutout. But Belleville applied some pressure, a late power play goal, made it a 3-1 game, and then they scored on a 6-on-5 to make it 3-2. So it looked like it was going to be tight, but ultimately the Moose hung on for the win. So they break their winless or their losing streak, at 4. They arrest it, pick up a big win over Belleville. They're into Toronto tomorrow, where they play, I believe, at 3:00, and then on Sunday again against the Marlies at 3:00. So the Moose are happy to be on the road and happy to be getting going again. And like I said, good for Thomas Milic to pick up his first win. He's a real gamer, and he's a feisty guy, and we'll see what he can do. But interesting decision for the Moose to go with him over Salmonen. Colin Delia practiced on Friday. He's dealing with a sore groin, so he obviously wasn't in either position because Salmonen was backing up. So that's your Moose Minute. And I'll just add one quick thing because 2022 first rounder Rutger McGroarty.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, well, then.
No, go ahead. Go with it. Go. You're fine.
Well, I was just going to say Rutger McGroarty in a game for the University of Michigan Wolverines got hard hit into the boards. And nothing really certain as to what the status was. He did have to be, maybe Drew can provide an update, but he was taken to the emergency room, according to Michigan head coach Brandon Narado.
Yeah. The extent of the injury is unknown. That's the latest update. It's courtesy of Rekka Leonard, who covers the University of Michigan hockey for, I think, must be the University of Michigan newspaper. So that's the last update, is that he went hard into the end boards on a hit and sort of fell like back, sort of upper back first into the end boards. Mm-hmm. Was taken off on a stretcher and then taken to an emergency room. No further update. My guess, and this is my guess, would be that it was probably more precautionary than anything else. But
I was concerned about, Drew, was just watching the replay. Dave showed it to me on his phone. Mm-hmm. It kind of looked like it could be maybe a tailbone, or that's what I was kind of worried about, right? The way, like you said, the way he goes into the boards. I mean, it clearly it looks like it was some type of back injury. So hopefully Rutger's okay.
Whiplash effect is, I think, probably what you're looking at.
He's having a great year in NCAA. So I just hope that it's nothing serious.
Yeah, so that's we'll have an update for you as soon as we can get one. We'll have it either on illegalcurve.com if there's one overnight tonight, or if there's any news along that front, we'll bring it to you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. So you can stay tuned for that. That'll be coming your way coming up tomorrow morning, and then any news along those lines will be breaking. We'll have later on tonight on illegalcurve.com. But the Jets win and the Moose win, so that's a good sign for those of you who cheer for teams in Winnipeg. Let's give away one more winner for the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
Ezzy, who wins the toque tonight? Courtesy of our good friends at Tough Duck. Their long-term support of the Illegal Curve post-game show is very much appreciated.
I hope everybody was enjoying the nice mild weather, even though we got a little bit of snow and it's getting a little colder. Still, I would say, above normal for this time of year. We're going to give it to Jordan Hare. Like this comment, Jets have improved shot-wise. Their shots are counting. Previous years, tons of nothing shots. Now they're making their shots count. And we kind of talked about this, guys. Like, this is by far, what did you say, Drew? The previous low this year was 26 or 27. Like, 18 shots is very low for this Jets team, who's usually putting up, at least 30 shots a game, usually closer to 35 to 40 shots a game. And tonight, I mean, they win 3-2, even though they only put up 18 shots. We talked about it earlier, right? 3 goals on the first 9 or 10 shots. And obviously the Nikolai Ehlers ones was the kind of proverbial knuckler, if you want to call it that, right, which bounces off of Owen Power. So Jordan, send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com, with your mailing info and mailing address info and Tough Duck.
His mailing address is in Australia. That's where he's watching us from, is Australia. Okay. So I don't know that they need toques in Australia, but if they do, Jordan, we got one coming to you, courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck.
Was that the comment that we put up earlier? That Jordan was watching from Australia?
He was watching us from Australia.
I'll see if we can ship to Australia. If we can't, we'll figure
Ezra will take a trip
Jordan.
and hand deliver it.
Yeah, I'm very curious as where Ezra's going to go with this one.
I've always wanted to see the koala bears. So
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Like, everybody's like, "Where's Ezzy? Why isn't he on the show?" And we're like, "He's actually delivering a toque. He just booked a ticket to Australia. He's personally delivering a toque."
I'm pretty sure Ezzy's already preemptively banned from Australia. I'm fairly certain that they've passed a law along those lines. But nonetheless, Jordan, congratulations! You're the winner of the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
It might cost a little bit more to ship it to Australia than it would to ship it to Selkirk or Steinbach. But we'll get in touch. Send me an email, Jordan, and we'll figure something out.
Tico Napoli saying that we got the wrong Jordan, so maybe Drew's incorrect.
No, I think Tico Napoli was joking. Is my guess. But
I think Tico Napoli wants a toque.
There you go. See, Jordan saying yays. So there you go. Hopefully, Jordan's going to get in touch with Ezzy.
It doesn't necessarily. That's just his excitement at winning. Drew doesn't confirm that he is the Jordan in Australia.
Fair enough. I guess time will tell. If we become huge in Australia without us knowing about it, then maybe that'll answer our question.
We are well. Actually, I will say we do have someone else. I gave Moose tickets because someone from Australia who has no connection to Winnipeg is a Jets fan and a Moose fan, and he's actually coming in December.
Yes, I got the guy. He messaged me too. I don't think so, Drew. Oh, what's his name? I have it here in my DMs.
Who knew that we were big in Australia?
JMB Newman.
You're not supposed to say his whole name, Drew.
That's his Twitter feed. It's not like I'm giving away state secrets here.
I don't know, Drew. I would have just said James.
Okay, well, honestly, I didn't know.
Well, now I feel less special that
Drew's
James is messaging you too.
What's the word?
Jimmy. His name he calls himself Jimmy in Sydney. So Jimmy in Sydney's coming to Winnipeg.
Jimmy likes hockey,
and he's going to see.
Jimmy likes his chicken spicy, Drew.
Yeah, I think he's coming to a Jets game too, if I recall correctly. Yeah,
I'm sure he is. But they wrote an article about him. I think CTV did or something like that. So he and a friend came to Winnipeg to see a game. So they have no. I can't remember that. I have to read it over again. But we're big in Australia, is what I'm getting at ultimately.
Yeah, that's where that we are, and we need our beauty sleep because we'll
Matthew
be back
Thompson.
at it.
By the way, Matthew Thompson hit it right. This is bigger than Uncle Jesse getting the #1 hit song in Japan.
Man. What was the name of the band, Dave?
Jesse and the Killers. Rippers.
Yeah. Rippers.
Oh, well, I
Jesse
thought for a second
Rippers.
you got it wrong on the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jesse.
Do you remember what the dog's name was, though?
Comet.
Thank you.
Come on, Comet's in our chat. How could you forget?
The dog?
Yeah. Well, not Comet the dog, Comet a person, but Comet. I see that name and I always think Comet the dog. What kind of dog was it?
Shout out to Jody Sweeten.
Yeah, that's great, Ezzy. That's it for this post-game show. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
A big crush on Jody Sweeten back in the day.
Can you stop talking, please? That's all I'm begging you at this point in time.
Topanga, too.
Ezzy, hold on, Drew. Just make sure you send out. Jordan's asking for Ezzy's contact info again.
Okay, at ICEzzyG on Twitter or
just send me an email, Jordan. Ezra@illegalcurve.com.
There you go. Send it there. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for joining us. Big thanks to all of our sponsors, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Farmery Beer, where you can pick up some Illegal Curve beer at their location at number 2 Donald Street. Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, they're the title sponsor of the post-game show. Our friends at Tough Duck, Jordan's getting a toque in Australia. It's 35 degrees there. He's going to wear it proudly. Boston Pizza. We're at Boston Pizza on December the 7th. That's the Illegal Curve holiday party. So be sure to join us there. He's working on making us a nice little ad that we can put up on the screen when we talk about that. So that'll probably be done on
And you're working on getting me a Santa Claus outfit.
I'm working on that as well. I'll tell you what, I'll get you the Santa Claus outfit. You get that.
Why do I have a feeling we're going to see Ezzy and Spency in matching Santa Claus outfits?
Because
if Spency's down,
from your lips
as long
to
as
God's
we end
ears,
up in the hot tub in Sage Creek, I'm down.
Actually, hold on. Actually, maybe Spency will go as Santa Claus and Ezzy will go as Hanukkah Harry.
Or an elf or something. I'm not sure. Boston Pizza, that's where we'll be on December 7th. Seagram's
Avalanche.
Drink your Fireball. Rolly's Transfer. They got a piano off of Ezzy. They can do anything. The Rink Guys. It's going to be cold enough to build a rink eventually, so support our friends at the Rink Guys. And, of course, as I mentioned, Farmery Beer. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button. More post-game coverage to come on illegalcurve.com. Leave us feedback on YouTube, on podcasts, everywhere that you can get this show. We want to hear from you. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks for watching. This has been the Illegal Curve Post-Game Show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.